welcome to Community Services Standing Committee meeting of April 8th, 2025. I can confirm that we do have a quorum, and I'm going to hand the chair off to Councillor Karshuk.
Okay, I will start off by reading the First Nations acknowledgement. The Mayor and Council wish to acknowledge the town of Fort Smith is located within Treaty 8 territory. Treaty 8 territory also encompasses the traditional homelands of the Salt River First Nation, Smith Landing First Nation, and the Indigenous Métis people of Fort Smith. These nations have maintained stewardship of their sacred lands throughout the generations. We honor your knowledge, teachings, traditions, and the land. We are mindful that colonization has not been kind. We respectfully recognize our generational histories excuse me, and commit to strive for unity in the spirit of truth and reconciliation. Thank you. I'd like to have a motion to adopt the agenda.
I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Mayor Ferguson, and seconded by Councillor Couvret. Are there any deletions or additions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Minutes. I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes from March 11th. Councillor Couvret.
Okay, I move that the minutes from the Community Services Standing Committee meeting of March 11th, 2025 be adopted as presented.
And is there a seconder? Councillor Benwell. Any errors, omissions? Councillor Couvret.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, with just wanted to, I know it's been an oversight by our busy administration, is with the values and the vision and values portion of the package should be updated to include our new and dynamic vision and values, and so that fully embrace those for all our future meetings.
Great suggestion, thank you.
So
I don't think we need a motion. We just,
no, so noted, thank you.
Yeah. Any other comments, questions, or notices? Councillor Couvret.
Yeah. Looking within the minutes of the March 11th community services, there was one update from Community Services Director about the mural being painted in the library, which I think is a fantastic step forward in the art initiative program that the town is looking at taking on. I really think there's a fantastic opportunity here for the administration and council to work with businesses in the community to have additional murals, somewhat sponsored by and commissioned by businesses. You look at, there's a whole bunch of these blank walls that really should be having murals that depict the lifestyle of our community, the history, things like that. And even the town could look at some of our more prominent buildings, like I'm looking at that huge space on the front of the community arena. It would be fantastic to have some sport mural painted on that, especially with the legacy of the Arctic Winter Games that have been here. So I think this is something that we should be looking at through our Community Services Advisory Board, maybe giving them direction to look at options and how do we, as Mayor and Council, encourage businesses to get involved in this as well as sponsors of this.
Okay. Do we have an action, or we just refer it to the committee? Or we are the committee?
Are you asking for a recommendation to advise administration to bring this to the advisory boards? Is that what you're asking?
Well, if we, as a feel that, this is something worth pursuing, then definitely I would, put forward a recommendation that, the Community Services Advisory Board, be presented with, or be asked to bring forward recommendations, how the community can move forward with, advancing mural painting within the community.
Yeah, Madam Mayor Ferguson?
Thanks. I just have are we asking for our town facilities, businesses, or government? Because you kind of have like all, you kind of talk about all three there. If we're asking businesses to invest their money into beautification of the downtown core, are we offering grants to support that? Or we're taking out of their bottom dollar with, it's already expensive to run businesses? Like, what exactly are you asking us to look at?
Councillor Bates?
Could I jump in on that? I think it'd be worthwhile investigating what funds are available or grants, for either the town or businesses. If there are, having worked in like Churchill, for example, last year, the whole, like every building business and, municipal, like there's murals everywhere, and it really has an effect on like the aesthetic of the community. And I believe the community themselves went out and sought funding for that, and so that individual organizations could then ask for money from that pot. And so, there are some businesses, such as my own, that would be interested in beautifying our own buildings, right? I'm sure there's other businesses out there as well. And I also just think it would be a good initiative for the town if there is funding available. It doesn't have to be like we're asking any specific, I think it's an investigation and see what's available first.
Yes, Dale?
I would suggest that maybe we just put the suggestion to the Director of Community Services during the next CSAP board to talk to them about their interest in taking this on as something to look at, what kind of funding and how this project could go forward. If they want to do it as a business sponsorship, or if they want to actually looking for funding and see how other towns have done it. I would just suggest, rather than making it a motion or a direction, that perhaps they just take it to the next CSAP. I can't see it being something that at this time we take on, but I think what we've talked about, the advisory boards are definitely looking for projects to take on, and this would definitely be a town beautification one, and they might have a big appetite for it.
Okay.
So can we take note of that?
I can get you the name of I can definitely have to input and get you the source of funding that we pursued for that.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
We'll follow up on that one.
Okay. Did you have any last comments? No, not, okay. Anything else under the minutes? Okay, seeing nothing, I call the question. All in favor? Approved. Thank you. Vision and values are still the old ones, so we'll forego reading them in this package, and we can read the new ones when they're included the next time. Is there any financial interest conflict? Okay, seeing none, we have a delegation. Aurora Research Institute, Emily Gomez, how do you say that last name? So? Is she online? Did she disappear? There was an EG, now it's gone.
There.
Give them 30 seconds to call in, and otherwise we'll just bump it down on the agenda.
Or maybe we'll pop back up, yeah.
Okay, let's go on to the Community Services Director's Report, and, oh, wait. EG?
Yeah.
I read the EG. Hello, Ms. Gomez Stokes, are you there? Stokes.
Are you able to hear us?
It's here.
Oh, there we
Oh,
go.
there we go.
Hi,
Hello, can you hear us?
yes, can you hear us?
Yeah,
Me.
I can
Yes.
hear you. The floor is yours.
Oh,
Oh, wait.
You're muted.
oh, COVID time, I did forget to unmute myself, sorry. Can I share my screen?
Can she share her?
Yes, she can.
Yep.
Yeah.
Organizer and presenter can share. Oh, I don't have access to sharing my screen. Is it possible to, I think it says only meeting organizer and presenter can share.
Can you write the rest of it?
It doesn't have that option on it?
No, she is the presenter right now.
Technology grant, that works.
No, it should be able to. There's nothing on our end blocking it.
Try again. You trying to share? Try
Are you
again.
able
Share.
to try again?
Emily, can you try again?
Yeah, I will try again.
That's
Oh,
not-
no,
that's your
it
fault.
doesn't. I guess it's because I am an attendee.
It's still.
That's
Are
it.
you able to send me the
That's not Emily,
document?
that's Adrienne. She's not, that's not Emily's account, that's her boss. So she may be a participant, not a presenter. That's what she's saying.
Oh, that might be it. I can't
Mhm.
change it.
But I can speak and I could share the PowerPoint later. We made a little PowerPoint, but most important, I don't want to take too much of my time.
We'll take
I can-
interpretive dance.
Sorry?
Said, we'll take interpretive dance.
Anyway, you have the floor for 10 minutes.
Okay, super. So here we go. So hi, my name is Andréane and Emily is with me also. Emily is the research coordinator. We're working together at Aurora College, Aurora Research Institute. Emily would love to unmute herself and share her face, but she currently has a power outage at her place, so that's why she's just on her cell phone. So I work as a nursing instructor at Aurora College here in Yellowknife, as well as a health researcher. I am trained as a nurse as well as a social scientist. And as you can hear with my big French accent, I am not from the Northwest Territory. I am a non-Indigenous woman who was born and raised near of Quebec City, and I've been working in northern Quebec in Nunavut with the Nunavut communities and AUHC communities for about 15 years, and I've been working here in Sandusky, Yellowknife for 4 years now. And the reason why we're here today is we would like to present you the project we've been working on since 2023. It's called Spark Inspiration, and we wanted to present to the Town Council of Fort Smith to share with you about this project, hear your perspective, and see if you find that it is a good project for your community. And so so that's why we're here today. So the project is called Spark Inspiration. It is a research project funded by the Canadian Institute of Health Research, as well as Hokitika Core Unit, which is a health research unit for Northwest Territory. This project main goal basically is to inspire the youth, grade 8 to grade 12, to pursue jobs in health and social services and to work in the healthcare system in the Northwest Territory. So as I said, we started in 2023. We have the Aurora College Research Ethics license. as well as the Northwestern Ontario Scientific Research License. On this project, there are different members, part of the Research Advisory Committee. So there are people from Hochschild Unit, Institute of Circumpolar Health Research, other Indigenous scholars, elders, community leaders, and Indigenous governments. And so why we took on this project? So I am the principal investigator, and basically I'm a nurse. I love working in the healthcare system, but we know that we currently have a very big staff shortage of staff in the healthcare system across Canada, but as well in the Northwest Missouri. And on top of that, the current representation in healthcare of Indigenous people is very low, as well as the current number of Northerners working within the NWC healthcare system is also low. So this is why we applied for this grant money. And so what we're doing in this project is there are 4 aspects to this project. So we're working with youth in high school, grade 8 to 12, where we meet with the youth, we do focus groups, as well as we talk with them about different health and social services careers. We also meet with elders, with wisdom circles, as well as we're doing individual interviews with current Northerners that are either working in the healthcare system in the North or who are students in different healthcare programs. The discussion topics are what is needed for more youth to pursue health and social services jobs, what barriers prevent youth from pursuing these careers, and what support is needed to help them overcome these challenges. So far, we've been working with different communities. We've been working with the Souchon, in Betchacon, in the Saskatchewan, Delany, Inuvik, in Yellowknife, and we're slowly starting to connect with other communities, and this is why. So far, we've been working with those communities, and we met with more than 60 individuals. And we are currently working with other communities to develop partnerships. And so the reason why we were here this evening, we met with Mike at the AGM of Mike Kaiser, and we also met with Mr. Coubret at the AGM of the Northwestern Utilities Association. Association of Communities, yeah. And so we also met with Mike online a few weeks ago, and we started to connect with the high school, but we wanted to present you and to inform you about this project this evening, see if this is the kind of project that you support, those kinds of initiatives, if we need to have any research agreements. So we want to make sure that this project is being done in a good way. And we will be in Fort Smith from April 22nd to April 28th. Hopefully we would love to go to the high school. We received an invitation to speak in a classroom. We will also be at the trade show at the Aurora College ARI booth with Sarah Roseland. And so right now we also connected with the Tibacha Leadership Council to see how we could do it in a good way. Do we need any other approval, support, letter of support? And we're happy to listen also to hear if there are any ideas that you have that we should do it this way to share the project back to the community. So for example, would you like a briefing note? Would you like us to come back after we come to Fort Smith if the project occurs in Fort Smith? So this is why we were here this evening. So I'm done with the presentation. I didn't look at the time, And my apologies for the PowerPoint not being able to see, but I hope you understood me, even though I didn't have the PowerPoint. So if there's any questions, comments, we're there. I'm done.
You
I'll
have
shut
you
down.
have 2 minutes to spare. Are there any questions from councillors or mayor?
Just a comment, yeah, I think this is a great research project. I think that this is really good to get high school kids thinking about what they could do for a future, and if the healthcare is one of them, that would be fantastic if you inspire someone, spark their interest in healthcare.
Oh, you worked all day on that, didn't you?
That's a Connieism.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, as long as you have your license to conduct research through Aurora College Research thing, you can contact the high school. There's no issue with that. I was the principal there for 23 years, so that's next step, I guess.
Okay, great, thank you. And would you like us to come back to present to town to your council in a few months, or how would you like, or should we do a community event if the project occurs?
SAO?
I just had a question, because one of the action, you asked for support from council. What does that look like to you?
Really, it looks like just being here this evening is perfect, just to make sure that like everyone is okay, that if we show up as a community, that it's like we're doing it in a good way. So in some communities, some leadership prefer to have a formal letter of support. Sometimes it's a research agreement. So I just want to make sure that I'm respecting the way you want this project to be, in that as the principal investigator, that I am respecting your process. So like the support can be, if you're just saying, okay, perfect, or if you're saying, no, we're full house, we have enough project right now on our plate, it's all good too. So really support, it depends on how it is for your community, your needs.
Councillor.
Is it?
Yeah, sorry, I missed the dates that you're going to be in town, but if you're here May 10th,
April 22nd to 20th.
oh, you'll be gone by then. But Science Rendezvous would be a really good opportunity to share your information.
Mayor Ferguson?
I just wanted to know how do you report your results? Like if you're successful in actually someone hearing what you have to say and going further with their education, how do you know the success rate of your project?
So really, we will not know if we have any success directly, because it's not a longitudinal. My God, that's a very long, difficult word in English. Longitudinal study. So because the study will be done by the end of next spring, so in 1 more year. But what I'm hoping is that we apply on other funding to be able to follow the cohort, because already in some of the communities, some students are asking to stay in touch with us. So we're hoping that this could be a way to continue to follow them and to offer support, because already in other community consultations, some people ask to see if we could have like maybe a virtual connections with the youth, so that it's not just a one-time deal. So we're meeting with other partners to see if we could do something to continue to follow the youth. But in this specific project, there is no like evaluation to see if if this initiative will have a real impact. It will not be possible to have those kinds of metrics.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you.
Unfortunately.
Thank you very much for sharing the scope of your project with us. And as I said, I don't think we require any formal permission from us, so good luck. And it's always great to see people coming into the high school and promoting different careers, especially careers that are so badly needed in the north. So Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for welcoming us. Like it is a pleasure and really thank you very much. And maybe we'll see each other maybe at the trade show.
Okay, good.
Take care.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you, bye.
Thank you.
Okay, Community Services Director's Report.
With me tonight is the acting director for community services, Tori. I actually don't know your last name, explain.
Victoria Urquhart. Well, I go by Director Urquhart.
So the report is there in front of you. Does anybody have any questions, or did you have any special highlights you want to point out within the report?
March was a very, very busy month overall. We hosted a lot of people from the community and from outside the community. I think all the programs and events were a success. I thought it was a great month.
Are there any questions from council? Mayor Ferguson.
I just have a few comments.
Yeah.
So I know, I just wanted to just shout out again, it's mentioned in here a couple of times, with the economic development tourism report and in the rec programming, but Frolics was a big endeavor and the town staff were amazing and it wouldn't have been a success without the town's support. Like, I'm sure, I don't know how many countless overtime hours was put in for that weekend, staff hours, props, tables, chairs, tents, speakers, you name it, it probably was attending something out there at every event, arena, snowboarding, outdoor events like rec center, it was amazing. So again, I know I said it already, but it was a really huge take on and the town staff did a great job with that, so. Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Cooper.
I noticed reviewing your report, a good update on the aquatics, which was great to see. And the concern stated that your schedule is going to be limited by staff when we do the grand opening as such.
The grand
Yeah, when the aquatic side opens up, it says, I think the phrasing here is the schedule will be reflective of what can be supported by staff that you have. All I would just say is, the community is really looking forward to this, so all we can ask is, we'll say is, first off, great job and get it done. But make that a number one if we can get some bodies in there for, it won't be really great if we can reopen everything working and we can't open it because we got no staff. That's just gonna fly in the ointment, I guess. So I just encourage you to make the best of that and get the staff we can when we can. But excellent work in getting to this point. Well done.
Sale.
And I would suggest that would be a call out to the community as well.
Yeah.
Is that if you're interested in becoming a lifeguard, we have the training, we have the spots, we're looking for lifeguards, so please, 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 high school, retirees, people with some extra time, who want to be a part of the community, please consider becoming a lifeguard so we can keep our pool open as much as possible.
Thanks, Kristen.
Any further comments or questions, Mayor Ferguson?
Yeah, it was just one because with the ice being now out at the arena, it was come up with just conversation and events that we're at. We're in a Arctic Winter Games season this fall for sport intake, and we might, I know that they're already going to ask, and if we're thinking about early ice season, and you shake your head like probably someone's already asked about it, right? Because it comes up in conversations because it is an Arctic Winter Game tryout season for athletes that. How could we prepare ourselves to put our ice in September?
That I cannot answer to at the moment. I can pass it on to the director of health and pass it.
No, and unfortunately, the director of municipal services, she's not here today because he's ill, so I was gonna say that would be the question for the next thing, but I can definitely put that down and talk to him about that.
And then the sauna, is it going well, being open and attended?
Those who are attending are definitely grateful it's open. I can't say the numbers have been too high, but it's there. It is being used.
And what are the banned books at the library? There was a whole presentation. I want to know what books are banned that we did just a presentation on. And,
I can't tell you because they're banned.
well, no, we did a banned book display, and I wanted, and it said you'd be surprised what books are banned. I'm wondering if you could give me the list, because I want to know what books are banned, because I don't know.
I don't have the list in front
Yeah.
of me, but,
Well, now I wanna go
I'm
see,
not
I'm gonna,
banned here.
no, they are, they said many people were surprised to see what books have been banned and why, but so they put it up on display so you see what books they were banned.
But
Now I
not
wanna-
from our library.
No,
No, you
Well,
could
and-
take them out.
Yeah.
Actually, SAO.
they're giving an example of how across our country, there are different communities that are starting to ban some books. And so they're saying, this, can you believe that this has been banned? Can you believe this has been banned? So it's kind of a tantalizing display of, come see the books that other communities aren't letting their people read. So no, they're absolutely available for checking out, go check them out.
Yeah, this is like the thing, go look at our banned books that aren't banned, people.
Yeah, while you can.
Well, you can.
Totally bad.
Any further comments or questions? Mayor Ferguson.
The economic development report was really good, like, this is a bigger chunk than we normally see for that kind of thing, so I thought that was a really good add to it. I mean, it was easy for March, because there was so much going on, but, you could see in here what just go on, like, there's been some, I think that was, I don't know, income generator, community gatherings, like, it's been a really good March.
Mayor Ferguson.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't have my hand up. Go ahead. That was
Okay, well, thank you very much for standing in for Director Emily, and have yourself a great evening. Of course, you're always welcome to stay. Or not. Do we just accept it for information, basically? Okay.
Yeah.
No motion required. Okay, moving on to administration, briefing notes. There's a briefing note with regards to donation recipients from 2018 to 2024. SAO, did you want to comment on that?
This is just a response to a request from council a month ago to bring forward, just so you had an idea of what has been passed in prior years. Just a note that last year in 2024, council, the ones that are repeat every year, like the frolics and such, were put in as regular lines in our budget, so they didn't have to apply every year on that, so we were budgeting accordingly, and then thus you now have the 4,500 budget for the ad hoc applications. But this is just in response to it, and they went back historically and looked at what's out there.
Councillor Couvette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Great information. I was looking at it though, and part of, we call them donations, and I think that's the wrong terminology. We should be referring to them. The majority of the funding that we dole out is in the form of contributions. And it would be, from what I've seen from the list, the vast majority of the items listed are what would be discretionary ones, where the actual request came to, as an individual request coming to council. If the note could be updated, no rush on this, to include those contributions that we do make on a yearly basis from some of that information from the past, just so that we have a, when we look at the information, it is all there, whether it's like some of the contributions that we provide, and they're people can call them donations. I'm just thinking of things such as the Northern Light Museum, the NAC contribution, the ski club and the golf club, just so that we have a list of all the funding that we provide to community organizations at a glance. And I think we can use that as well, that information. Once we have all that information, looking to, when people say, well, why do you need a 6.5? Well, we can tax increase. We can say, well, not only are we doing the day-to-day operations of the town, we are supporting community organizations to this degree, and point out some of the ones that I think some of the community is not aware that we're supporting these other initiatives, and they're good initiatives, or else we wouldn't approve them, of course.
So, 1 second,
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor. Are you suggesting that we then have a motion to request further direction to update the briefing note with that information as well, or do we need a motion for that? Or you just provide direction?
The direction, you need a motion to make it.
Okay, we need a motion. So would you, I'll ask Deputy Mayor Keiser first, and then I'll come back and see if you want to make a motion to that effect. Deputy Mayor.
When we started this discussion, it's because we only had so much money left in the budget. Yet I go through this year by year, and I see 1,800, 6,000, 5,000, 20-some thousand.
Funny enough, yeah.
I just have, like, was it a floating budget or what? I don't understand that. Like, that makes no sense to me. So I'm looking at the number, I don't know what to do with that.
Mayor first.
I can give you a little bit of clarification. So the money sometimes from this was taken from things that didn't, from line items that didn't occur. So it's during the fire didn't happen. So the $5,000 that we normally give to fire aid was given to someone else. So that's why it showed up here as that money jump. Also a couple of other things like that didn't occur because of whatever was happening environmentally or whatever the festival event didn't occur, was then given to someone else. But because it was taken out of that line item, it had to be put over to this item. That's why it jumped to 29.
Because that's a
It's
huge,
not
I don't
normal.
understand.
It's not normally like
Okay.
that, and that's where that would have jumped from. And things like treaty days, that was a one-off thing.
Okay.
So that's where I knew some of that came from, but not all of it, I'm not sure.
I say, oh, sorry.
Just as a reminder that the request for this was about donations, and it was to give council an idea of what regularly comes in every year, so they know how to budget the ad hoc budget accordingly. That was the purpose of this budget. What happened historically before 2024, I really can't speak to, and like I said, they moved it out last year. Last year, they did not have it in the sublines. For some reason, it came in and it went back out. At the end of last year, I think it was, Director Clucci was acting SAO, and she had made the recommendation to put it back in as a line item in the regular budget, and then we just have the smaller ad hoc. But the purpose of this briefing note was just to show you where the money went and what happens annually, so that you have an idea of what's coming in and how to budget accordingly. It was not to align all of our funding requests, and that would be a different request, but I think this briefing note met what it was asked of.
It did, that's, like, sorry.
Deputy Mayor.
It doesn't, because that's my point is, that this historical doesn't help. From everything from $1,000 total to $29,000 total, I don't know how to work with that. That's just too big a range, like, so, I think it helped, thank you for, but to use this to base on historical, I don't know what to throw out, this doesn't make sense.
Councillor Cox.
Thanks. I think we know what our discretionary budget is, 4,500, 5,000, somewhere in there. So when I brought up the idea of this, my thought was, well, just now we can look back. So if whoever comes and asks for a donation, then we can look back and we can use this list to try and say, okay, well, our discretionary budget is $4,500. In the last 5 years, we've had this and this and this come and ask. So do we want to give this person the money at the risk of somebody else coming in later and not having the budget? That's all. I think the stuff that are budgeted, I mean, that's, if it's already budgeted, then that's something that administration can sort out when, if they have to figure out, next year we tell them we can't afford it, then it's gonna be up to them to figure out how to deal with that, would be my thought. I think this is helpful. It's helpful for me. Thank you.
Any further discussion, comments with regards to this briefing note? Councillor Kudra.
It would be great to have that additional information. I don't think it's going to be overly critical for us to see it in the next little while, but I would definitely would like to see that information as part of our budget preparation discussions come hopefully in August or September when we start that process. So just that we have it identified by the ongoing contribution components versus our discretionary components.
Mayor Ferguson.
Thank you. Would that be in our audited financial statements? would these things be theirs? I'm just wondering, maybe we can have it, because the audit will be done at the end of April here, and we'll have the financial statements we can look at that might outline these contributions or donations. Okay.
Okay, so I guess it's just not a direction at this point. Thank you very much with regards to that briefing note. Second briefing note is the acceptance of the final organizational review report. SAO, did you want to speak to that at all?
I think it's all laid out within the briefing note. The review committee, the steering committee rather, my apologies, met to go over, they came up with a list of changes and additions and some missing information that they wanted to see within the first draft report. We amalgamated that, we sent that back to them, and they have provided the final report. We met last week we met? We met recently to review the revised final report and approved it. It basically came up with 9 overarching priorities and recommendations to go forward on. They're good, they're strong, they are what we expected to see. And so I put together a brief note, just these are the 9. I sent it out to you e-version. It's a big document. We didn't make copies for everybody. If you really, really want a hard copy, absolutely, we'll make you one. We just weren't gonna make 9, because a lot of people it is on your computers now. One of the things that I really wanted to reiterate, and I have it within here several times, is that these are great recommendations, and there's really nothing we don't disagree with in the overarching recommendations. There's fine tuning within some of the smaller ones, but council needs to realize that this needs to be resourced. It's not all going to happen in year 1. It has to be a phased approach, and it has to be resourced. That means human resources, and that means financially. So it's not something you're going to say, like, go get it, that why isn't this done, and why isn't this done? You've got a report, we told you to go with it. It's something that every year during budget time, we're going to have to look at as opportunities come up, that's when we actually sit down and look at it and say, okay, we think that within our budgeting cycle this year, we could look at doing this. We can move this position forward, or we can move this, or here's some of the information we had. One of the discussions we had with the steering committee was around service levels, identifying service levels and the related resource costs to actually deliver those services and what that would look like, and having that in time for the next budgeting cycle. And, you know, the team's answer is going to be, what don't we do then? Right? We're fully committed right now. We've done our capital plan. If council determines that that's a priority, then we have to come back to what projects we have running right now and figure out which one we put aside. Or do we try to find, or is one of the directions, try to find funding to go after A and see if we can get that fully funded. Just for information's sake, I have started to look at that. And I did have a talk with WMC about, that was one of the other things that the steering committee had said is, how? Can you give us, there's a lot of recommendations within here, can you give us a little bit of suggestions on how to move forward on it? And so I actually met with them today to talk about the service levels and what that could look like financially, and something that I'll draft out in a briefing note when I have a chance to move that forward. Because I do agree that we do need to start looking at this. I just don't know whose plate we put on and how we can make that happen. But I'm just going to reiterate, these recommendations are good. This does need to happen. If we were able to move all of these in and implement a change management plan to actually do this, the organization would have a very, very strong foundation. But it has to be a phased approach and properly resourced, and council sets the resource levels for it. So, any questions?
I don't know, Chair, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay. So the report's there, they've outlined 9 areas, which is quite a big task. So they generate the report and identify those things. We accept it, but then we as council, or does administration develop a timeline for the phased approach?
Administration brings in a recommendation for the phased approach. As we see, it can outline, as we can roll it out, and it's something we bring back to council, and we have that conversation. That we think that we could get this, and this done. We've already initiated the asset management strategy. We've already looked at hiring, posting for the HR. We've already implemented some of the recommended changes at this time. So as we move forward and we get one done, then we come back to council and say, okay, this is gonna feed the next recommendation in here. And I've tried to put, when I put the recommendations in there, I align them with our strategic priorities as well. So you notice like improving strategic focus, it's aligned with organizational development and capacity building. So as we build our work plans, we make sure that we're looking at this as well as other priorities that align with our strategic priorities.
Councillor Corbett.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Really take the opportunity to read the motion in.
No, okay, before the discussion.
Well, this way there, I'm sure you were able to discuss without.
Okay, are you moving it then?
I move that council accept the final organizational review report prepared by Western Management Consultants as a strategic framework to guide the ongoing organizational and governance improvements. And that administration be directed to use the report to inform future decisions related to budgeting, staffing, service delivery, and operational planning, with actions to be undertaken incrementally and within the limits of available resources and internal capacity.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Cox. Discussion. Councillor Corbett.
Thank you. I think administration needs to be commended on a job that was well done. In my opinion, long overdue, but we're now past that, so we do have the 9 recommendations. As part of the actual recommendation, I would, I don't know whether it needs to be as an amendment, but during our discussions about the recommendation, we also identified or suggested that Western Management Consulting provide almost a how-to recommendation or steps for moving some of these strategic actions forward. If that's not forthcoming, I would suggest that as an organization, we take mayor, council, and administration, take an afternoon or something to basically maybe scope out a long-term implementation strategy of this, sort of identifying, say, for modernization of technologies, that if we're going to move forward on that, we need 10,000 this year, 10,000 next year, 25,000 year 3. Sort of just very broad scoping and ideas of how we're going to move forward with this. The last thing we want is to have this organizational review strategy and really not use it as effectively as we can. And I think if we have an implementation outline, that will help administration. And they say, well, how did you expect us to implement this when we sat down, we agreed what resources were needed, and we didn't provide them to you. So I think it's a way to open that door, to actually have a concrete discussion about the resourcing of this project.
Deputy Mayor.
So in summary, Mike, if I could shorten that down to 1 sentence, you don't want this report to end up on the shelf. Is that what you just said? This would do that.
Well, it can be on the shelf. If we have an implementation plan.
Got your point, though, yeah, I hear you.
But I think the implementation plan, and again, I'm speaking with the chair, and I shouldn't, needs outside expertise. It can't just be council. Council can't just sit out of the blue and say, okay, for IT modernization and software implementation to go online, 10,000 this year. Like, that's just a number pulled out of the air. We need to have some sort of informed information to help with the phased approach and the cost. Mayor Ferguson, sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think, once we're done with this recommendation that's on the floor, that we, maybe allow for the administration to follow up with that conversation they'd already started with these folks and give us the how to implement this. We can do that after, because that would be, they're the experts in the field to tell us how to get this job done, right?
Councilor Corbett.
Yeah. And It was something the administration agreed to follow through on as part of the last discussion, knowing how busy we are and how busy the consultants are well, they're not busy, but they try to drag out their timelines as long as possible. This might be something that we, as mayor and council, say we need to identify $5,000 to have somebody come in and do terms of reference of how we're going to do this, do the basic legwork, dig out figures, do the research on behalf of administration, and have something ready by, say, the middle or the end of summer that mayor and council and administration can sit down and say, okay, we have all this background information now gathered. How do we put it into an implementation plan?
Deputy Mayor.
So, SAO, I was gonna ask you then, this motion, the way I was reading it, basically ends their contract. They're done. So the suggestions Councillor Corret's making would be change orders to the existing contract, or, I'm just like, cost-wise, is this ending their contract, like we're saying we accept it?
SAO.
Their contract is finished by accepting their final report we have,
Okay.
but as I spoke earlier, they have been providing resources, they've made themselves available, and today we had a long talk about service levels and how that could look, and they've actually provided me with a swath of resources around that one. And they have made themselves available to, if we had any questions around
Okay.
change management. So they did, and I find they've been very, very forthcoming. I didn't find that they missed their timelines that much. I didn't think they dragged it out. But they have been very forthcoming, and I had quite a good chat with her today about service levels and just costing and what that could look like. So it's something that, like I said, administration will be utilizing this report, much like the transportation report, but as a resource to move it forward and make recommendations as the resources are available. And I'm not just talking about financial, I'm talking about the HR resources as well. We definitely see the priorities. This is a team that's very much aware of the deficiencies that have been ongoing that we want to address.
Mayor Ferguson.
No, I'll just wait till this is done. I think we can make a recommendation after this, the follow-up with the WMCS.
Councillor Cox.
Thank you. I think, initially when this first, that was before our term, but I was really skeptical of this whole proposal, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I think it reinforces what we already knew a lot, and we know what kind of needs to be done. Where was I going with that train of thought? I think much like the capital planning exercise, right? We got this huge list. Hopefully we know that we're not going to accomplish this the same way we're not going to accomplish the entire capital list all at once. One thing I was surprised with, their review doesn't change a whole lot. So that means that a lot of what we've been doing pretty right. There's no huge sweeping changes in here. It's just we need more resources, and we knew that all along. We need more resources. So yeah, like what Mike is suggesting with being able to push and act on it, same thing. We start talking about the IT example, then all of a sudden that's a huge load for somebody to go and figure out what we need. So I think we just got to be careful about resource utilization, I guess, and how much we can do at once.
Councillor Basin.
Well, I'm thinking about it.
Hey, quick. So I'm going to call the question. Councillor Bennett.
So what you're asking is for them to break it down and see what we've been doing and what else we can keep working on in that whole big things? Is that what you're asking?
I'll let you answer and then Councillor Basin.
I think
To hire somebody for that?
I think it's just making sure that we have a plan of how we're going to proceed with implementing these recommendations and following through on it, and building that into our ongoing budget. Part of this will have implications on next year's capital plan as well, and our ongoing operation maintenance budget. So I think we really need a good foundational, I want to use a different word, but foundational plan of how we're going to proceed to follow through on this. Just sort of almost a how-to guide.
Councilor Bates?
I mean, just looking at the recommendations in here, many of them do give us the, this is the step to do, right? So I think rather than be like immediately we have to go and ask for more help and pay for a consultant to give us a how-to plan, I think step one should be for us to be like, here's the recommendations we want to respond to right away and put into action. Like for example, number one, there's continue the strategic planning process, right? We're already doing that. We don't need somebody to tell us how to do that more. And then it gives us, we need an operational plan for, to implement that, right? Like those are part of our process. So I think it would be, the first task should be for us as council to highlight the things where we don't know, right? Or maybe recognizing that staff don't know the gaps. Right?
Mayor Ferguson.
I think, I'm agreeing with what you guys are saying here. I think the biggest thing when we talked about this at the steering committee for the organization, like when it came back, is that we actually don't know if our service levels compared to other municipalities of the same size, where are we at? Are we over-servicing? Are we overextending? Are we offering more than we can? And we don't have that comparative number, like based on a community the same size of us, how many days a week is their swim open? And they use the comparator of like
dollars.
Or if you're in a community here, the next community over has a swimming pool, so you'll use their swimming pool, so you don't need a swimming pool. Like it's not the correct evaluation for our community. And I know that we've asked for what is our service levels, like what is a community our size that has to provide all the services. What do those levels look like? We don't have that number, and that's something that we want, because that's something we don't have, right? And I know that's been an ask from the conversations from the steering committee for sure. But you're right, it's in there. It does. We are doing a lot of these things already, and have started a lot of this process. I think knowing what our service, we know what our service levels are because we're doing them like our 2 days a week garbage and our swimming and our recs. We know what our service levels are. But is that too much? Are we expecting too much from our community, from our employees, from what we have to keep producing that level of service? I think that was more of the ask from this. We don't know that number. We don't know if we're over service.
Councilor Bates.
No.
Councilor Cox.
Thank you. I think just in terms of, there's some value in knowing what the other communities are doing, but we also want to do what's our community. Do I care how many people are using the pool in Hay River? Or do I want the people here to be able to utilize the pool as much as what's reasonably possible, right? Garbage, there's communities down south that have garbage pickup once a month. That's not going to work here. We know that, right? So I think a lot of it's up for us to decide. I think this was valuable. I'm leery about trying to go out and spend more money on another consultant to say, well, this and this and this. But my thought initially when this came out was, how much this cost? Well, what if we had just given Public Works half a PY and give Community Services half a PY? Then everybody that would probably solve the whole problem. It wouldn't. This shows that we're, but yeah, I'm always leery of hiring consultants to tell us what we need, and we're spending all our money on consultants instead of spending money on what we need. But this was valuable.
Okay, last kicks up to Kat before I call the question. Kat, report. SAO.
I'm just going to remind that we are fully resourced right now, and I think the recommendation that I sort of brought forward was that we utilize this to guide our future decision making. That putting together an implementation plan when there's just so much unknown is just something else is not going to get done. What are we going to do when we put that together? Because going out for an RFP or going out for dollars and values, that when we go into the next budget cycle, that we sort of look at what is next on this one that we can bring into that budgeting. So it's just, over the next, taking a look at how far we get at some of the initiatives we have, what comes out of the asset assessment, what comes out of the water and sewer assessment, how far do we get with the IT upgrades and the process, automations that we're already looking at. I mean, like I said, this is already ongoing, we're already moving our way towards this. We already saw that, we heard it, and we're moving towards it. And as we bring forward the next recommendations, this will be a part of what's considered, and we'll bring that into the conversation. This aligns with your strategic plan and with the organizational review, and this is why we're recommending this as a budgeted item. And I think the direction from council would be that we use it as a strategic framework to guide future decisions and incremental organizational improvements. And that's the motion, so.
Okay, question, all in favor? Carries. And moving on to the last briefing note, GNW cannabis retail licensing. Is this just for information? SAO?
It is absolutely just for information. Deputy Mayor Keiser and I sat down with Kim Wilkins, Director of Liquor and Cannabis Operations, just to let us know that there will be an RFP coming out in the next while. We will receive a copy of that RFP when it comes out. She sent me the information I utilized to develop this. And that the new liquor store operator does not have the cannabis retail license.
It is not going to.
It is not going to, so they're gonna go to an RFP process. She's already being approached by, I believe she said 7 people. She did share with us that the annual retail is gross about $1 million, clear about quarter of that, so about 250,000 is the profit level for this type of business. So there is a strong interest in town to having that. We don't.
And all the paraphernalia is free.
It is,
It's
yeah,
pure
exactly.
profit for them.
And then she, now I've lost my train of thought.
You interrupted her.
You said it the same people.
Anyway, the briefing note's there, it's from information site.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you very much.
It's all-
Mayor Fergus.
Thanks, I just had a question. I know with liquor, it's like regulated by the GNWT, to only have one place per community or something like that of our size. Are we restricted? Can we have more than one cannabis store in our community?
SAO.
That actually was one of the questions we had, and the discussion was around government interference in free market. And we could have 10, but how many are they going to be able to want to share that 250,000? So it comes down to letting market shake itself out. One of the things I was concerned about was whether or not we had any bylaws or policies around it. I did note within there that the news only bylaw speaks to it, as well as there will be the business licensing aspect of it. But it appears that in the past, when cannabis was legalized, that Portsmouth chose to just go with the federal and the territorial level of legislation and not implement their own. So no, there are no numbers. There is limits how close to schools and such, but there isn't, we don't have any free market.
Okay, thank you, SAO. Other business, I don't see any. Excusing of counselors. Looking for a motion, Mayor Ferguson.
I'll move that Councillor Heaton and Councillor Tuckey be excused from the Community Services Standing Committee meeting of April 8th.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Cox, all in favor? Carried. The next Community Services Standing Committee meeting will be May 13th, 2025. And I can't move to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Mayor Ferguson, I move to adjourn the meeting at?
Oh, 7:30.
Seconder, please.
Well, one at a time. Before I get a
7:34.
seconder. 7:34, seconder?
I'll second that.
Councillor Bates, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much.